NBC's Michelle Kaczynski at the Aruban Swamp, still being drained. We're going to be checking back with her in a few minutes. But now, here to talk about the intense search for Natalie is her family's private investigator, TJ Ward. Mr. Ward, thank you so much for being back with us tonight. So many things happening in Aruba. Please break it down for us. You got the DNA evidence. You got the swamp being drained. And we just heard from this EquiSearch guy that he said that they were searching again this landfill, that they found a towel, that they found a key pass. Sounds like a lot of things are going on here. Please, if you can, for Americans that haven't been following this as closely, break down this investigation. What's the state of it tonight?
Well, first of all, this is the first I've heard about the EquiSearch's clue about going to the landfill. But I'd like to turn around and focus on the information at the pond that's being drained right now. If we go back and we can believe the information from the gardener who was there on the 29th and to the 30th, who saw Vandersloot and the Kalpoe brothers in the vehicle belonging to Kalpoe, he specifically and without any reservation said that he saw Vandersloot behind the front wheel of the driver's seat, who covered his face when he pulled up on the car, and he also saw one of the Kalpoe brothers bend down in the back seat. Well, if we take this information into consideration with the witness that we found, who also described the car to a T a week later, who was circling through the racket club, we can take the information and not only compare that to the Marriott and the beach where the police keep taking Vandersloot out to the beach, which is right beside the Marriott. This pond is directly across the road. And the time frame at 2 o'clock in the morning till the time that they understand that they have information that one of the Kalpoe brothers was on his computer at 3 o'clock, we're talking about a very short period of time. Now, we also know about an implication of a letter from Vandersloot that was given to the police at the time of that he was taken into custody. And if this is true, that he's claiming that that Deepak in fact killed Natalie on the beach after raping her, then we don't have a far-fetched story here that the beach is right across the street from the pond, and maybe there's some evidence around the pond because the same vehicle a week later after the disappearance of Natalie from the 29th into the 30th might even coincide with the fact that they were going back to find any additional evidence.
I got to tell you, Mr. Ward, this is starting to sound a lot like the case out in California where you've got Scott Peterson. He sits there and he's able to push off investigators, but soon evidence just starts dripping, drip by drip by drip. Pretty soon it washes that guy away. He's going to face the electric chair sometime in his future. In this case, though, I am stunned by the new information we're finding out every night. I mean, tonight we find out that Vandersloot says that one of the Kalpoe brothers raped and killed Natalie on the beach, and yet we're not hearing about that in America. We're not hearing we're not hearing a lot of things, and these kids aren't even in jail. Why aren't they in jail, first of all? And secondly, why can't these Aruban authorities break a 17-year-old kid? You give my kid like a PlayStation 2 and a pile of chocolate chip cookies, and you got him talking in 30 minutes.
Well, this is a very streetwise kid. Vandersloot's very, very streetwise, and he knows his father was in the judicial system, or is in the judicial system up until yesterday when he started cleaning out his drawer at the justice office. But he, in fact, I believed, called his father on the night and got advice what to do with Natalie Holloway. I believe that we have all three of the suspects. These are the parties that are responsible for the disappearance of Natalie Holloway, and I would rest assured that probably you'll understand that Paul Vandersloot is probably going to be linked to this investigation somewhere down the road. What the problem is with people here in the U.S. is that we're not used to this kind of procedure. The procedure in Aruba is completely different than what we are used to in the U.S. In a normal investigation that I have been doing for the last 24 years in the private sector, when I get a case like this, I'm able to go to law enforcement and to the prosecutor's office and pull information that's public. And of course, in Aruba, nothing is public. You can't get reports. You can't get information from the police, and everything's hush-hush. I believe that it was very much a mistake, and the Aruban government knows to leave the Kalpoe boys, let them go back on the street. But I rest assured, when the time comes, I believe the Rubin authorities, along with the FBI monitoring this case, has the information, and when they do, they'll take these parties back into custody. I believe you'll probably also see a target investigation here in the very near future involving Paul Vandersloot. This is all pulling together. After the information that we receive from whatever the pond gives us, whether they bring the sonar in and there's any evidence there, if not, I'm returning Sunday on behalf of the family, and I will continue conducting the investigation I did, uncovering this witness that knew about the car a week later. There's people there, and somebody on that island has.
You know, Mr. Ward, you're exactly right, Mr. Ward. This is all starting to add up. This evidence, the draining of the swamp, the new witness that you found, it's all coming together, and I agree with you. I think the Calpo brothers are going to get nailed on this, and I think Paul Vandersloot, he's going to be sharing a jail cell with his son. Thanks so much for being with us, Mr. Ward. We greatly appreciate it.
Joe.
I know we want to get you back tomorrow. I mean, it's great to have somebody that can tell us what's going on down there without the filter of the Rubin and the Dutch authorities. Let's bring in right now Bill Stanton, former NYPD investigator. Mr. Stanton, you've been hearing all of this. It sounds like the pace of this case is quickening. What can you tell us about the ebb and flows of these sort of investigations?
Well, it's interesting to see the private investigator, the different dynamic he brings to the table. Seems to be doing a wonderful job of collecting evidence and presenting it to the law enforcement. But what seems to be happening, it's a mystery wrapped in a riddle. And Joe, what you have here, no one's directly saying, from what we're hearing, if it's credible, no one's directly saying, I saw the Calpo brother kill Natalie. No one's saying they saw Urine kill Natalie. They're saying they think. And this way, I think he's being coached, in my opinion, by the father. I think the elder Vandersloot coached the son. And everybody's pointing fingers at everyone else, but no one's saying they saw directly. And that's going to be very hard for law enforcement to get a confession or to cut a deal.
But Bill, again, I mean, you take, again, I talked about Lacey Peterson. Scott Peterson sits there with this bland face in front of local news cameras trying to cry as hard as he can, saying he misses his wife Lacey. He goes to the Super Bowl. Everybody says, we know he did it. And pretty soon evidence starts coming. Again, it starts dripping bit by bit in and gets him. I mean, it looks like the same thing may be happening in Aruba, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Joe, what's happening is the waters are being muddied. There's not one person, there's actually three. So when everybody's pointing at everyone else and no one's saying they saw it directly, who do you believe? Who do you go to? Do you cut the murderer a deal and say, listen, I'll give you immunity to testify? It becomes very, very hard in an incident like this. Unless they were actually all together, if and when this crime was committed, it's going to be very hard focusing in on one person when we all think we know who actually did it.
And, of course, the witnesses. I mean, we're hearing these new witnesses coming forward saying they saw the boys in the car shielding their faces at 3 a.m. in the morning. Going to be very